That was not a good game of football to watch. I'm sure so many neutral fans will be disappointed with that. But do you know what? As an Arsenal fan, it was intense. It was stressful. It was worrying. It was anxiety inducing. It was everything that you don't really want to watch. It was horrible. It really wasn't a good game of football. And I think both teams were quite scared of losing it more than trying to win it. Do you know what? I'll tell you the teams that have won at the Etihad this season. Manchester City. That's it. No one has beaten them there. They've scored 57 games in a row at home. Not today. Saliba turned up and got man of the match, and Gabriel was immense as well. And what I'm trying to say is, although it was a bad game of football, although 0-0s are boring to watch and no one really went for the win, it feels like, it was still a pretty good result for Arsenal because of just the size of the game. You know, this was on paper a title decider from the beginning of the season, and whilst Liverpool are in the picture as well, it still felt like that. It kind of felt like whoever loses today probably won't be there at the end as favourites to win the title. But we all seem to be forgetting that, you know, Liverpool are still there and they're now top of the league, as you can see here. But I think the most important thing today was just to not lose. Just don't lose this game, and to come away with a clean sheet and actually at times look like the more dangerous side. It was definitely more counter-attacking. It was definitely sit back, let City do their thing because they roll teams over at home all the time. But do you know what? Another stat. City haven't scored against Arsenal in the Premier League this season, and that's rare. I think what a lot of people forget is Arsenal fans have a lot of scars. A lot of scars from the Pep era. I mean, the record we've had against City is atrocious. So anything is actually quite refreshing, even though a win would have been obviously much better for both teams. Actually, what I will say is it was more important for City not to lose this because, of course, they had a point disadvantage. But let's go through the City team first, and then we'll talk about Arsenal, of course. Really impressed with Gvardiol today. Gvardiol, however you want to say it. I know he hasn't had the biggest impact since joining, €100 million defender, whatever, but I thought he was quite good today. Akanji is such a smart player as well. They didn't seem to miss Edison too much. I think Ortega's criminally underrated. De Bruyne, class as always, driving forward, but didn't really have much of an effect. I would have expected more from De Bruyne today. Rodri has been given the highest rating, and that's probably fair. He just controlled the game, as always. And I think, you know, Declan Rice has said it himself. He watches Rodri. Rodri is the best in the world at what he does, and he put on a show today. Silva, really difficult on that right side, but didn't really have much of a final product. And I thought Foden was really poor today. And Haaland, I mean, the debate of who's the next Messi and Ronaldo being Haaland or Mbappe, honestly, as a footballer, I think Mbappe is almost streets ahead of Haaland in terms of just being the all-round football player. But obviously Haaland has something machine-like about him. It's just missing at the moment. And thank you, because I'd rather not have that. I think City in general looked quite nervy today. They're a different City side. They've won the treble, yes, of course. But I feel like they're way more beatable now than they were a season or two ago. It can't be just me who thinks that. They don't look so menacing and so intimidating. And I think for sure we could have won today, despite the possession, despite the control that City have. We had many chances. We really did. Okay, but let's move on to Arsenal. This is all about Arsenal, of course. Raya, solid game in goal again. I noticed he was slipping a lot. He changed his boots at half-time. I'm not sure if that had an effect, but he was slipping all over the place in the first half, and I did wonder if maybe they'd overwatered the pitch or something. But Raya was solid. He's so good in the box at commanding and grabbing the ball out of the air, even though he's not the tallest. I really rate that. But really didn't have much to do in terms of shot stopping. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel and Kivior, solid. Really solid today. You know, we are playing against the treble winners, the best attack in the world, arguably, on their day. Although I'd say Madrid have probably been better this season. But Kivior didn't have his best game ever, and you can see when Tomiyasu came on, we definitely looked a little bit more solid down the left, but he wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. But just Saliba and Gabriel again, like we talk about Diaz and Ake and Stones, and over the last few seasons, Van Dijk as well, all of these best centre-backs, and I'm looking at Saliba and Gabriel, and I'm just thinking, in terms of a partnership, I genuinely believe this. I'm not saying they're the best defenders, but this season they've been the best defenders. I think it's very difficult to argue against that. Saliba, man of the match today. Man of the match, was it against Liverpool as well? Just an absolute giant of a defender. And him and Gabriel are... It's amazing to watch. I know they talk in French, and I'm sure a lot of it is in French, but they just seem to be brothers, don't they? Ødegaard... disappointed with him today. He does have a knack of kind of not showing up in the really big games. I think that's a bit overused. I think a lot of people say that when actually there are games where he shows up and does well, but today wasn't one of them. So many misplaced passes where you'd expect him to curve it inwards and make the perfect weighted pass for Saka in behind, who also had, I think, a relatively poor game. Actually, it was a very poor game. I think if Saka and Ødegaard were at their top level today, we win the game. I really believe that. Jorginho was good, looked leggy at the end. It was nice to see Partey come back in. Declan Rice didn't do anything spectacular today, but just bossed midfield again against the best midfield, you could argue. I mean, Rodri definitely showed Rice a thing or two today. I think he has got levels still to go, which is scary, actually. Havertz, good up front. I enjoyed watching Havertz again today. Some good link-up play. He is a bit Bambi. You know when giraffes are born and their legs are just like all over the place? He reminds me of that sometimes. Jesus continues to be an enigma. Just frustrates me. Overplays it. Too many touches in the box. Just shoot, mate. Just have a shot. He isn't an out-and-out striker. He isn't a winger. He's kind of like a hybrid of them both. And I'm just going to say it now. I wouldn't be sad if we let him go in the summer. If we were able to, I don't know, get 50 million, something like that. I could imagine him going to a Juventus or something like that. I would rather invest that money in a proper number 9. To be honest, with this summer coming up, I would like to see both Jesus and Nketiah leave, if I'm being completely honest, and bringing in 2 new attacking players, whether that's a striker and a winger, I don't know. Havertz is clearly more of a striker than Jesus, and that just says a lot. I think in general, though, the performance was pretty good. I thought Tomiyasu came on and did really well. Partey looked tidy as well. Trossard had such a huge chance. All he had to do was pass it, just whip it over to Martinelli, and we might have scored. He's gone for the shot with his left, and it wasn't great. And Martinelli looked really good when he came on. He's just such an impact player. But I think this says a lot. I think, as we look at the stats here, it's very easy to look at that if you haven't watched the game and think, right, okay, there wasn't many expected goals, but City have just dominated this game. Should have probably won it. But honestly, when you watch the game, if you take out maybe the final 10 minutes where City definitely were hammering us a little bit, might not have been with shots, but definitely with play and in our third, and it was quite stressful to watch. But in general, I would say a draw is probably a very fair result. This says it all really as well. 2 shots on target for us and just the one on their side. It was a really bad game of football, and I'm kind of relieved it's over. This is the game that I've been dreading. Let's have a look at our next fixtures, because of course we're in second place now, 2 points behind Liverpool. But the main thing is we just didn't lose today, and we've got away with that. So of course we've got Luton midweek, which is on my mum's birthday. I think I might actually be missing the first half of that game, so hopefully I'll catch the second half. And then Brighton away, which, they haven't been great this season, but that's a tough game. Champions League then, Bayern, Villa, Bayern, Wolves, Chelsea. It's busy more than anything. I'm not saying all the fixtures are unwinnable and just so difficult. They're interesting fixtures, but it's just we're playing every 3 days. Every 3 days, 4 days, 3 days, 4 days, 3 days. It's going to be exhausting, and a lot will obviously fall on those fixtures. I think if we can get green, that would be very good, but I don't see us winning every game until the end of the season, that's for sure. But now it's in Liverpool's hands. They could easily win the rest of their Premier League games and win the title, so that is the real downside today. A few tweets I wanted to bring up Man of the match at Anfield, it was Liverpool. Man of the match today at the Etihad, William Saliba, take a bow. Very impressive, really. Another one about our defence today. Arsenal, the first side to stop Man City from scoring at home in 57 games. I mean, that is a pretty ridiculous stat. Fair play to City. They are so good at the Etihad, and they score a lot of goals. Quite often at half-time, the game's done. And that wasn't the case today, was it? And then, I wanted to kind of talk about Saka a little bit more because it was poor. And I know he's not necessarily been 100% fit for a little while now. And you can tell. And it just goes to show how important I think it is in the summer to bring in some cover for Saka. We don't have that Saka replacement, or not really a replacement, is it? Just someone that can stand in for Saka if he's out, and we don't lose everything, because we just don't have... Fabio Vieira? No, we're not doing that. Martinelli came onto the right side a little bit today. No, he's a left winger. We all know that. The cutting in on his right. I think we have to go into the market this summer. We need number 9 and a number 11, like a 7, a winger. I don't know who would be available. There's obviously a lot of names being thrown around, but I think we go into the summer knowing that our main area of attack this summer is attack. We have to go in and buy some forward players because defensively we look good. I know we're an injury away from losing a Saliba or a Gabriel or whatever, but it feels like we've got a bit more cover. Although I've heard we could be looking at a centre-back. Diamande's one of them. Midfielders, of course, we probably will need to replace Partey. So much to do in the summer, and I cannot wait. But of course, we've got to get there first, and hopefully we can get to the top of the table again. It's going to be a really, really interesting final 9 games. We finally dropped points since the turn of the year. Can you believe it? Well, Liverpool, City, let the best team win, I guess.